to Homework Help with Miss Gore. I'm here to help you today with your LG 23 homework. We are going to be proving triangles are similar. So question 1, we are given that angle A and angle E are congruent. So I'm going to start my proof by angle A being congruent to angle E, and that is a given. Number 2, so now to prove that my two triangles are similar, I'm looking for two sets of angles. So what I can see right here is my famous bow tie. We'll call these angle 1 and angle 2. And we'll say that angle 1 is congruent to angle 2 because vertical angles are congruent. So now I have enough information to say that triangle ABC is similar to triangle EDC, and that is my AA theorem, my angle-angle theorem. If I can show two angles are congruent, I can show that my triangles are similar. Now, to describe a composition of transformations. Now, notice it does say composition, so that means that I'm going to do more than one. So here I'm going to use two transformations that is going to map CDE onto CBA. So I'm going to start with a rotation. So I am going to rotate triangle CDE about point C, 180 degrees. And I'm doing that so that C maps to C, and I'm then going to dilate my triangle CDE about my point C again. And I'm going to dilate it using my scale factor, my K. And what I want to do is I do want to map my CDE, my larger triangle, onto my smaller triangle. So my scale factor is going to be CA over CE. That then tells me that if I do K times CE, that it's going to shrink it down to CA. That will then map point E to A, and D will map to B. Now, since rotations preserve congruence, and my dilations preserve my angle measures, my triangles are going to be similar. So triangle CDE similar to triangle CBA. Sorry about the handwriting, my stylus is awful. You can make fun of me later. Number 2, let's take a look at 2. So I'm going to mark my picture. I know that angle 1 and angle 2 are congruent, and I'm trying to again prove that my triangles are similar. So I know that angle 1 congruent to angle 2, and that's a given. Now, since my two triangles, I've got a small triangle and a large triangle, and I'm trying to make a comparison between these. When I have these two, what that tells me is that these two lines must have been parallel. So step 2, I'm going to say that ST is parallel to QR. And the reason that I know that is because I have two lines cut by a transversal with corresponding angles congruent. And that tells me that the lines are parallel. So now, since I know my lines are parallel, well, now I know that angle 3 and angle 4 are congruent. So angle 4 and angle 3 are congruent because parallel lines have congruent corresponding angles. So now I have enough information to say that triangle PST is similar to triangle PQR. And again, that is my AA theorem. Okay, moving on to my next problem. This time, I have a parallelogram, and I am trying to prove that AH is to FH as EH is to GH. So right here, I'm trying to prove that these two triangles are similar to each other so that I can then say that my sides are going to form a proportion. So ABCD is a parallelogram. Once I know that that's a parallelogram, well, I can pull all the information I know about a parallelogram. And the thing that I really want to pull right now is that my opposite sides are parallel. So AB is parallel to DC because the opposite sides of a parallelogram are parallel. So now that I know that they're parallel, well, that gives me some great information. Now that I know that they're parallel, I have an angle here congruent to an angle here, my alternate interior angles. My angle here congruent to my angle here. Again, alternate interior angles. So angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. Angle 3 is congruent to angle 4. And I'm going to say that is because my parallel lines cut by a transversal have congruent alternate interior angles. Now I have enough info to prove that my two triangles are similar. So triangle AEH similar to triangle FGH because of my AA theorem again. So now that I have my triangles similar to each other, I can say that AH over FH is similar to EH over GH. And I'm going to say that because my corresponding sides of similar triangles form a proportion. All right, hopefully this helps you solve the rest of these problems using your notes, and I will see you again soon.